der zentralen Position. Nur Schwarze hat er noch vor sich. Dann ist es vielleicht noch. Er ist im Strafraum. Und der Feld. Tor! Tor! Für die Frankfurter Eintracht. 5:1. Herrje!
Hi and welcome to the German Fußball podcast. Match week 9 has been concluded. I'm as always joined by Dad, Jan Fjortoft, to summarize the latest news, insights and reflections from what was the highest goal scoring round of the season so far. 42 goals. Florian Wirtz's 40th goal of the match week is what marked the highest scoring one. Not his 40th goal of the season. He's not that good, Dad, yet. But as always, pleasure to have you join me.
Absolutely. And normally you as a host ask me as your co-host or guest or whatever you call it about my weekend or week. But this time we'll start with you because that is something to do with the German Fußball podcast. You're there for the Professional Football Association, PFA, but you were always there studying German football in Leverkusen.
Yes, a little mashup of a best of both worlds, I guess. And yes, on the topic of Florian Wirtz, who I got to see live in the flesh because I was there for from Tuesday to Thursday, Dad. I was there as part of a focus on Granit Xhaka, who's gone there from Arsenal, who is completing his coaching badges, doing his UEFA A, which, as you know, is kind of the last step in fulfilling your coaching journey. He's starting to plan for that already. Got some incredible insight and access to himself, Granit Xhaka, who I've always admired and respected as a player in person since the Arsenal days, and that controversial incident in 2019 when he lost the captaincy at Palace. But having done my research on him, having been fortunate enough to be in his company for 2 days there as well, and by no means saying that I know him, but I got some insight in terms of the character of Granit Xhaka. And you know, we've had discussions about this in the past, Dad, but in terms of the mental strength of these players, and I think Granit Xhaka embodies that. And as part of that, I was able to go to the stadium. And like it was, I remember back in the days when I was a kid, when I would go to for the Eintracht training, they would have the training ground right by the stadium, right? So you have everything there. And got to meet some lovely people there and got to see the last training before their game against Karabakh.
I think what's interesting with Xhaka is that you were saying he lost the captaincy after that Crystal Palace game at Arsenal, for Arsenal. Yep. But he still managed to kind of find his position. So he's always been a great player. Of course, they gave him the captaincy because of the strength, both mentally on the pitch, of course. But I guess that respect that he has got the last 3-4 years is even more than before that situation.
Yeah, it's super admirable. And I think he has shown time and time again throughout his season. He mentioned the time when he was 19 and moved to Gladbach, where he wasn't playing as much and splitting up the family. He was a pretty family man in terms of how he reacted. And he's had a father who's been rather influential in his life, but he emphasizes the same principles that I think he's been raised up with. And it was discipline, no excuses, respect, all that thing, which you can see is reflected in the way he carries himself. And I think it is very easy to walk away after that. And I know he was close to leaving. And then it's the harder choice, I guess, is how do I react? Do I stay? I work harder. And so when he finally then found himself back into the team and Arteta took him back in and what have you, he also mentioned an interesting one in which he was confronted by Arteta saying, listen, and it was after a Newcastle game when they've lost and they kind of lost their Champions League aspirations toward the end of the season. And Arteta said, listen, I don't know in terms of how I can count on you if you're not playing every game and what have you. And he said, I need, what can I expect? And that's what he said. Listen, I took that as a challenge. I had 5 days off in the preseason, and then I lost 5% fat percentage. I came back, and that was ahead of the season he had last season when he was one of Arsenal's best performers, was scoring goals for fun, reinvented himself. So again, another example of how you react to that. And I love that. And we've had discussion about that when I played. You said, yeah, but what are you going to do about it? And so to know, I'm not comparing myself, but I'm just saying I could relate to how he was thinking, which I liked.
And good for me this weekend, we managed to get you and your sister and your fiance to the Arsenal-Sheffield United game. Unfortunately for my former club, Sheffield United, losing 5-0 after 28 minutes. There was nothing going on. And then bang, 1-0. And then something happened with Sheffield United in the second, or nothing happened in the second half. the funny thing is, Marcus, I just feel that with Arsenal, I know you're a gunner, of course. I'm in your room. I've taken all the Arsenal shirts away now because I want to be the German German Bundesliga teams behind me. But the funny thing is that I feel that Arsenal, to take that next step to win the league, they missed that kind of Xhaka guy in midfield. They got great midfielders like Declan Rice and Saka and Martin Odegaard, of course. Fantastic player. Martinelli, 1-against-1. But maybe they missed that kind of player. And then on Sunday, I did Manchester derby. Always busy in those big games because there's so many pitch-side reporters. But it was a good weekend for me. I just came home from England to a snowy Norway, so you won't miss that, Marcus. But still, on Saturday, I was interviewing Nketiah and the man of the moment, 3 goals, hat-trick, and Arteta. I could have had Heckingbottom, but as I was waiting, I said, well, I can do it next time. Hopefully for him, it will be a next time. And then at the Manchester derby, I had Erling Haaland scoring 2, 1 assist. His link to German Bundesliga, of course, came to Dortmund, doing his stuff quite okay there as well before he left for Manchester City.
Remember, he only scored goals in Farmers League, though. Remember that?
Yeah, just the Farmers League. He's doing there. And Erik ten Hag. There is also a link to that, Marcus. Erik ten Hag was studying and being a coach at the second team at Bayern Munich when Pep Guardiola was there. So that was one link. But let's start in Leverkusen. They're at top of the league. They can't stop losing. Can't stop winning, I wanted to say. And they're beating Freiburg 2-1. I mean, that is one thing. They were 2-0 up, and then Hoffmann and Wirtz scored, and then there was a 2-1. A bit scary at the end, but still they ended up with 3-1. But that Florian Wirtz goal, Marcus, wow. I mean, that is dancing queen, is Strictly Come Dancing, is everything in one, isn't it?
It absolutely is. And what is so fascinating about Florian Wirtz is it's like it is a common saying, but it is like the ball is glued to his feet and he just shifts with this nice feel of gravity and finesse. And it's just so smooth to watch. And obviously the goal there where Höfler was just spun around, and towards the end, I don't think he even bothered putting in that last block, last block attempt, because Wirtz was had spun him around 3-4 times by that point, and he's just a delight. And then going into the second goal for Leverkusen, which will be probably credited as a Tobolo own goal as it hits the goalkeeper's back, but even then, it's him gliding forward, breaking lines, so quick with the ball, being able to go ahead. And then regains the ball for Hoffmann to shoot. And then, Leverkusen get their second, a bit of a scare towards the end, obviously, with Freiburg, but which by no means is a bad team at all. 2 Europa League teams against one another as well. Harder fought victory than perhaps we've seen other times when Leverkusen have dominated at home. But yeah, they stay on top of the table, and they'll probably, and we'll touch upon it probably towards the end, but they will obviously look towards the Klassiker next weekend, where Bayern and Dortmund will play one another. And yeah, that will only benefit them as they continue their fantastic form.
Yeah, and the good thing about is one of my favorite podcasts is The Rest is Politics with my friend Alistair Campbell and Rory. And they always say when they discuss something, we put that in the newsletter. Is there any chance we can put this Florian Wirtz goal in there somehow?
In the newsletter, we'll have to trip some links.
Now, but try. But can we? I don't know if you can put that in the podcast. I'm not sure you can.
No, it would be copyrights.
Yeah, okay. Well, don't do that. And I'm working for a right holder in Norway. So we'll keep that. You don't have to edit what I said there. It's just my passion for that goal.
Yeah, but everyone should see it.
Yeah, they should go on YouTube and the highlights are there, so you can have a look. That was Bayer Leverkusen. And there is a good bridge to Bayern Munich, because Musiala and Florian Wirtz, they are kind of the poster boys for the Euros coming up now. And with Julian Nagelsmann, the new German national coach, there is so much a plan for them to be the top of the notch. I mean, in terms of skills, in terms of personalities, in terms of charisma, they are so likable, the two of them. And Musiala was on fire again. But having said that, the whole Bayern Munich team were on fire. And if I can start, they're playing Darmstadt at home. Kimmich is sent off after 4 minutes. Then there are 2 red cards for Darmstadt. So imagine you go to Allianz and you play with 9 players. And I'm not sure. I think Bayern would have won with 9 players. But of course, 11 against 9. And then you have this fantastic situation in the second half, because it's 0-0 at halftime. But then from the 51st minute till the 88th minute, being 37 minutes, Bayern Munich not only scored goals, they scored 8 goals. And it was just like, when I saw the highlight, because I was obviously at the stadium, so I had to see the highlight. I mean, and the goals were brilliant. And Harry Kane, who got a hat-trick, doing a Beckham from the halfway line. I mean, that was just amazing. Sané 2, Musiala 2, Kane 3, and of course, Müller on to get a goal and a claim to play in that starting line for Bayern. But they were just unbelievable, Marcus.
Yeah, they were incredible. And there is now talks about, obviously, Kane is the first player to have scored 12 goals in his first 9 Bundesliga games. Obviously, Guirassy has had a fantastic start, but it's on his first 9 Bundesliga games. So Kane there in of itself. And now there's talk about that infamous partnership that we had with Kane and Son at Tottenham. Now it's Kane and Sané. And Sané has on 8 Bundesliga goals this season, Dad. I mean, Sané has been one of the most informed players in Europe. And there you see just Bayern at its best. It's Kane hat-trick, it's Sané 2, it's Musiala 2. And then, of course, Thomas Müller gets a goal as well.
But I think also that is no coincidence, because Harry Kane, for a midfielder, he must be the best player ever to play with. And some of these players also, they found that also with Lewandowski. But Lewandowski he is also a guy who came down a bit. You can play with him. But as much as I am the biggest fan ever of Lewandowski, because he reminds me of my favorite Marco van Basten, it's like Kane makes his player in and around. And you said Son at Tottenham, and now Sané or Musiala, he makes the team better because they have someone to play with, and he got this great football brain. And let's stop straight away that Tottenham is better without Harry Kane. Imagine if Harry Kane played with Postecoglou. Imagine if Harry Kane played with Maddison, the best signing in English football this season. They will be even better than they are now. But Harry Kane, what I like about I won't do everything because I think at the end we will have Player of the Week. So if you haven't understood yet that I will go for Harry Kane, you will soon understand it.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah,
we'll revisit Harry Kane, obviously. But another top flight game, I'd say, was Eintracht Frankfurt against Dortmund. Now, let's put into context. Eintracht had only conceded once at home this season, only conceded 6 goals all of this season in the Bundesliga. Unbeaten in 15 home games. Last loss against Dortmund a year ago, actually. And Eintracht, what a start they had, 2-0 up. And you preempted it, Dad. It was Omar Mamouche with 2 goals, 3rd straight Bundesliga game with goals. It was a fantastic start for Eintracht.
Yeah, and if you use the stats, as you're saying, they haven't conceded goals and they have trouble scoring goals. So then when you play Dortmund, who are not a bad team, you think that, well, that'll be a tight one. It was a tight one, but it was 3-3. And I read the interview with Dino Topmüller today, as he said, they were disappointed, Frankfurt. They felt they could have won. And I saw the game, and they should. But it was a very, very entertaining game. And all credit to Dortmund. They were missing Can. He was out. And Mekcia, if I say that right, was out as well. Reiner got his first start. Özcan came on. Reiner got his first start in the starting 11. But he was, well, you have to be said, he was terrible. He didn't play well at all.
Yeah,
so he was taken out. Yeah, and because that is vital, because Adeyemi came on, made an assist. Moukoko came on and got a goal. So, and also Hummels, you have to respect him. Today, he played his 350th Bundesliga game, ahead of the goalkeeper legend at Dortmund, Roman Weidenfeller. Only Sorg left to beat, but Sorg was there all his career. Hummels, as we know, were at Bayern. But back to the game. It was a very entertaining game, and VAR was vital, because VAR first gave a penalty to Eintracht, and there will be people who said that the second VAR was even obviously you can see behind me that I'm a bit biased talking of Eintracht Frankfurt, but I think that could have been a penalty as well. Would have been 3-0 up. Doesn't matter what you want to do against a team like Dortmund or whatever, a top team. You think the old cliche, you have to keep it to halftime, and then out of nothing, well, not out of nothing, because there's so much quality in that Dortmund team. Sabitzer made a 2-1, and that changed a bit after you were saying there was changing at halftime, and then Moukoko was the 54th minute doing the 2-2. So it was a very entertaining football game.
Yeah, it was a very entertaining football game, and I think we don't need to discuss referee decisions. Enough podcasts, enough experts do that. As far as the penalty situations are concerned, though, I think they should have flipped it. They got it wrong in that sense.
Yeah,
I think the first
exactly.
one shouldn't have been given.
Yeah,
Marius Wolf is kicking it, and when you tend to kick it with your right, you tend to put up your left or the opposite arm, and he was kicking it, and it hit him while he was kicking it. I think that was. It was harsh. And then the second one, however, the goalkeeper, actually, because Köbel had to go out, Mayo came in, and he actually hit Marmoush, and then he hit the ball with his feet when he was finishing his movement. So, but either way, an entertaining game in which I think you look at it, you think, okay, a draw is fair, but both teams will be a bit disappointed. But Eintracht under Dino Topmöller, we talked about last episodes, building foundations. Another, I feel like, a good example of kind of the culture regime that Topmöller is running is that he, despite a lack of strikers, Jess Nkankam was left out of the squad. He said, I think he can do better. I think we need a reaction. He's not been performing well enough and was left out of the squad. Harsh? Maybe not. I think it's an indicator of how he's running a rather tight and disciplined ship in that regard.
When then after 2-2, you think, wow, this is one of those games, and you think that with Dortmund, all the quality they have. Then when Chaibi makes a 3-2, and then Brandt is there for 3-3. Brandt is having a great season. He's there, was injured, I guess, in the Champions League. He wasn't around. He had a small thing, but he's back in business. And to be fair to Dortmund, they go into Newcastle. I did that game for Servus TV, so I followed that very, very closely. And they were very good. I mean, I got the utmost respect to go to St. James's Park, ask PSG how they were doing there. But Dortmund deservedly won that game. They stood good. It was a good tactic, a good balance in the team. So credit also to Dortmund. But I guess that is, for me, to building up a compliment to Eintracht Frankfurt, because they should have won that game. And now the table is funny because, I mean, and another spoiler alert, but it's very close now at the top. But you have 6 teams at the top, and then Frankfurt is best of the rest. So I think without a striker, and they're turning into these good results, and you were saying ungeschlagen, they so struggled to at home. And Hoffenheim, they beat Hoffenheim. Hoffenheim then go to Stuttgart winning without Guirassy. I think that's going to be very vulnerable situation for Sebastian Hoeneß. I don't think you have to be Einstein or Sherlock Holmes to understand that.
No, I mean, it's a natural segue into the Stuttgart Hoffenheim game. I'll tell you a little nice little stat or a little thing. It's the Dortmund side of 2010, 2011, Bayern of 2012 to 2013, and the Hoffenheim of 23, 24, 20 season. Only 3 teams to have won their first 5 Bundesliga away games. Now, Hoffenheim have 3 losses at home, all of them at home. Leverkusen go there, incidentally, next weekend to take them on. But Hoffenheim have had an incredible start away to home. 2-0 up. You had Prömmel and Weghorst. Weghorst with the first goal of the season for Hoffenheim. Then they get one back, and then Skov, the Dane, makes it 3-1. And then, it was the replacement for Guirassy. It was Undav, who was on loan from Brighton, who missed a penalty, but also scored. A decent player, must be said. He has had a very good goal-scoring record in Belgium. But, I mean, credit to Hoffenheim. They stay in it. I don't know if you have any more thoughts in terms of that game.
No, and just as we are landing of the general part of the Bundesliga, I'm that generation. First of all, I have to use my glasses when I read. That is point 1. But I'm also, when I follow the round, I have to, before we do the podcast, I'm writing up all the results, going through everything again. Because if I write it, I remember it. That is my generation. But it was quite interesting. I was counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 own goals. I think that was quite interesting. That is one of those rules. But of course, if you have a lot of goals, that maybe make that better. And talking about a lot of goals, Markus, I think we have to mention Leipzig, Köln as well, because Köln, with their cult hero kind of coach Baumgart, and they're losing 6-0. And what I also realized, or I saw that game as well, I am the old school. I'm a striker. I say the right people scoring goals. I think is don't waste a goal on defenders like you, Mark. No disrespect. No, to be fair,
let us dream. Let us have our one or two.
Yeah, but when you score goals, I was even more happy than when I scored myself. So, but you have Openda scoring. Werner, although just a penalty, he scored. Baumgart, the German, the Austrian guy came on and scored or played and got the 6-0. Great result for them. Terrible for Cologne. And if I may say, Marcus, Union Berlin, 7 games in a row losing, playing Werder Bremen, who had lost 3 times in a row. It's getting dangerous for Union Berlin. We talked about that last podcast, but it's getting worse and worse.
It's getting worse and worse. 10 straight. You said 7 in the Bundesliga, 10 in all competitions. And it's a nice... I mean, we've been very much high in praise. German football has been high in praise. You have Urs Fisher. You have Baumgart, Köln. And then you have someone like Bo Svensson even at Mainz, who was linked to Premier Leagues last season. There was a nice little article in Athletic for those who haven't read it in terms of what happened to Mainz and Bo Svensson as well. But you have there a trio of coaches who are still very much in high regard, but are now struggling. But you feel like these coaches have been so instrumental to the club's success. Mainz having consistent performances mid-table, was close to Europe last season, especially Union. Obviously, Baumgartner and Köln, who's a character in itself, and you've interviewed him and been around him, Dad. But it's like you say, like, where is is it a matter of them saying, hey, maybe I'm not the right guy, or is it a matter of braving through it and who else is going to fill that role? I don't know how you would reflect on their situation now.
No, I think you make it right. I think that you have the great analysis of them, and now you have coaches like Sebastian Hoeneß doing well for Stuttgart and so on. So there's always, that is a great thing about football. You can plan that. I mean, you could kind of predict that Union Berlin, they got to be somewhere down the road that they will hit the wall, but you wouldn't understand that they will crash like they've done now. Champions League, 3 games, and they were good at Real Madrid, and you remember there is all kind of stuff going on with a double belastung, so playing 2 different games. But Mainz is out of nowhere. I can't understand where they came from. Köln, with a passionate home crowd, seemed to have sorted out the club going forward. Very, very überraschend, surprisingly.
Let me ask you about Union, though, because Union obviously is a club that has done it tremendously well. We were very optimistic about them going to this season as well, because they signed pretty well as well. So they had one of the broadest squads in the league. And then if you put your sports director hat on, but when you are growing as a club and you make Champions League, and perhaps growth isn't always necessarily the best because you have to stay in tune with your growth. But when you are then expanding your team, there is that risk of maybe losing a bit of what's contributed to your success, while you also understand that you have to make deeper your squad. If you get what I'm saying, it is that like balance. If we knew the answer, they would have obviously followed it. But yeah, how do you see that?
Yeah, great people in and around the club that built that club fantastically. But it always a great chance for me to quote my favorite quote master, Otto Rehagel. You have to plan long term and win short term, and same with Union Berlin. And that is difficult because you kind of you have a culture, and the player you signed is a consequence of that culture. And now you go to the next level, but you have to hit. But I think Union Berlin will come back, but there's always that team that is too good to go down. We have seen that before. We've seen that in all different leagues, and Union Berlin got to turn this around, because they it's not like they will win 8 games in a row. That won't happen. For that they're now good enough to do that. So, Marcus, if I may then try to land it, to take, I always do my second Bundesliga, zweite Bundesliga. It's very normal this week. It's normal. There are some results. It's very disappointing. Kaiserslautern, Hamburg, both Bundesliga teams in my time, been there for ages. They had a draw. Kiel losing at home. St. Pauli winning. Fortuna Düsseldorf is up there. Schalke winning. Believe it or not, Schalke won a football game. So that is not not very surprising, or surprisingly so, but it's very ordinary. So Schalke is winning a game in the Zweite Liga shouldn't be breaking news. So if I may, Marcus, I will start with my player of the week. There's a lot of talk that Tottenham are so happy that Harry Kane left them, because Tottenham would have been better, or are better, with Harry Kane gone. First of all, that is rubbish. They would have been even better if they had Harry Kane. Can you imagine him playing with Son and Maddison, the great signing? But he loves Munich, and Bayern and German football love Harry Kane. First of all, he's so friendly. His interview is so humble, so shy. Wow, this is the England football captain. He's the captain of England, and he acts like he's a first-year senior there, so humble in everything he says. And now against Darmstadt, don't come with your bullshit kind of Farmers League kind of thing. The last time I checked, Liverpool beat Bournemouth 9-0. That is not long time ago, so don't start there. In 37 minutes, they scored 8 goals. He scored 3 of them. And not only that, he's making Sané much better. He's making Musiala much better. And just check out, if you check out Florian Wirtz goal, check out Harry Kane scoring from halfway line at Allianz Arena. He has taken England with storm. I can only compare him what Kevin Keegan did back in the 70s, that a foreigner has come and done what he has done in German football.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how I could top my suggestion. It was a very passionate plea coming from the heart, from one number 9 to another. Well, my player of the week will be none other than Florian Wirtz. The 20-year-old German is one of the most outstanding talents in Europe. A goal and assist at the weekend. The way he glides with the ball, it is art in motion, really. And his first goal, a very great example of that. The way he breaks lines in the second half, which ultimately, one of many runs he made, led to Hoffmann's goal as well. It's very exciting to see where he goes. He's been linked with Bayern, what have you, but I am excited about that potential link-up with Musiala at a Euros. In a lack of a number 9 for Germany, they will be the offensive or attacking firepower that Germany will depend upon. He is magnifique, a brilliant player, and could very well lead Leverkusen to the Bundesliga title as well.
Yeah, they are top of the league, Leverkusen. Füllkrug could be a number 9. I have to correct you because he's...
Yeah, no, of course.
But I understand what you're saying, because he got a fantastic stat for Germany. He's that breaker number 9. So, yeah, it's been a good football weekend. You went to Leverkusen, who is top of the league. Xabi Alonso, we've seen all his skills we'll go to social media, what he's doing training. He's with his shorts and doing the same passes as he did for Real Madrid, Liverpool, and Bayern Munich. And I was in England, and I would just have to say at the end, Marcus, because I enjoy doing this with you. Not only that we do this together as a father and son, but I always love to work with younger people. And because sometimes I think when we do the analysis of football, we kind of always judge football based on our view, what happened in the 90s, what happened, what will I think? And it was quite interesting. I challenged some of the greatest goal scorers of England, Ian Wright, Chris Sutton, and Alan Shearer. They're prolific pundits now, and they were all discussing Nketiah giving that penalty away to Vieira because he had a kid in waiting, Vieira, so he kind of gave them as a gift. This is nothing to do with German football. It's just one of those things that I'm reflecting over. And I'm with Alan Shearer, I'm with Ian Wright, I'm with Chris Sutton. We would have never given away a penalty like that. We would never have given away a chance to score 4 goals in the Premiership. But mind you, we are a product of our 90s. I think this new generation, and I use an example with Erling Haaland. Erling Haaland, I've always used that phrase, he's more happy when others scores than himself, which is a good ability to have. And mind you, have scored 2 at Old Trafford. He had a third one. He could have shot. He looked for Foden and found him. I interviewed him after the game and he said, why didn't you shoot? Now, I saw there was a better position. I saw some light blue. I play him. My point is that I think that this new generation, they have another way of thinking. They have another way of sharing. I think when Nketiah doing what he's doing at Emirates, he will get that back. I think that when Erling Haaland is doing that with Foden, he learns Foden to look for him. So I think the math is quite easy. If you're a striker of this generation, that I'm not saying that we were selfish, but we would say that we were greedy bastard looking for a goal. We never loved the game without us scoring. Fair enough. I stand by that. But I think this new generation, it's different. And I think that the new generation has got to be judged on that philosophy that they're having. That means that the coaches in the 90s, they overdid it with swearing and shouting. And the leaders, I always see pundits saying, we need the leaders of Roy Keane, we need the leaders of Stefan Effenberg. Yeah, fine. They are both world-class players. They would have been world-class players as well today. But I'm not sure that the leaders that the young people today want to have as their leaders are that kind of leaders. Let's see. That's my final, not even rant. That was just, I was thinking a lot of that, because I don't think that my dear colleagues from the 90s, all strikers that I love to play with, they're saying the right thing, and I probably agree with them. But I'm just saying it's so good to understand a new generation and the way they're thinking. Maybe, and I just say maybe, that for Arsenal, Martin Ødegaard at the moment being a captain is better for this generation than they had a Patrick Vieira in the other generation. But he was perfect in the 90s. I'm not sure that Martin would be perfect for that bunch of Arsenal players in the 90s, but vice versa. So I think this is a discussion without any right or wrong. It's just interesting to discuss leadership.
It's a great ending reflection. That I think on that note we can let the audience ponder and have a little reflection themselves about it. And then we look ahead to next weekend when we meet up. We also have to mention that there is a German Cup this week as well. You have 8 Bundesliga teams meeting each other, which will make some interesting matchups. So for anyone listening, American, British, Norwegian audience, they will be available there on the respective channels. But thanks for the ending reflections, and thank you for joining me as always.
Same to you. Auf Wiedersehen.